Hello and welcome into Purity Talks. I'm your host, Rachel Johnson. We are so excited that you have joined us here today. On Purity Talks, we talk about relevant issues in the life of today's teenager. And guess what? We got a lot of teenagers with us here today. So we want to welcome you. If you're listening in on the podcast, we're going to take just a moment here and get live on Facebook as well so that everybody on Facebook can follow us. Everybody wave to the Facebook world. While we're getting live on Facebook, I want to go ahead and introduce our team. So I'm going to start to my left, and I have Zadie John. You're not Zadie Johnson.
I could be.
Zadie Vasquez Johnson from Ogden, Utah. Welcome,
Hello.
Zadie. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Have you ever been to a No Price Tag conference?
Yes.
Yes, you have. You've been to many of them, and you've been a model. Awesome. Okay, now we have Zoe, and she is a Johnson. Zoe Johnson.
Yes.
Is the next one. Have you been to No Price Tag conferences, Zoe?
I have. I've been to many no price tag conferences.
That's right.
Even more than Zadie has been to.
Right, and then we have Gabrielle Johnson, way down at the end, youngest but not the least. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how to share this on my Facebook, so give me a second here. I'm not very good at doing 5 things at once, but what we're trying to do is get it so you guys can watch on Facebook, but I'm trying to show you, like, I can't figure out how to go live on my thing. I don't know, it's very complicated. So I will figure it out here in a second. Give me a second. Okay. Zadie, tell us what you're doing in Carthage, Missouri this week.
Well, I am, since I have been to many no price tag, I even was in a not for sale conference and it switched to no price tag conferences.
Right, yes.
That's how many I've been to.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I'm here to speak to the Hispanic community here in Carthage and invite them to no price tag and tell girls that they should come to no price tag in the conference, and it's super important to learn about their special gift, right, and their purity and how they should keep it and how to resist peer pressure. And I hope that my Spanish speaking skills will come in hand today so that I can also kind of communicate with them in their own language as well. So.
Amen. We are excited to go into the Spanish community today.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to just hand my phone over to my husband because I cannot figure this out to save my life. I can't do 5 things. So we want to go on my Facebook page and share that live, and we're excited about that. So yes, we have Zadie here all the way from Ogden, Utah. We have Zoe and Gabrielle, and we're going to talk about the No Price Tag Conference. First of all, we don't really, we won't really be there, but we have the guys' night. And the guys' night is because you guys have done such a fantastic job of having the girls' conference. So the guys' night, I don't know which camera to look in. The guys' night is Thursday, August 6th at 7 p.m. at Grace Point Assembly of God, 1605 South Baker Boulevard in Carthage, Missouri. So we have these cards that can tell you all about it, but they're going to have a service. They're also going to have hot dogs and s'mores afterwards, but they're going to be talking about things relevant to the young men. And so we're excited about adding the guys' conference. It's very important to have that as well. Now, the girls' conference is going to be Friday night, August 7th at 6:30 at Grace Point. And then that goes all Friday night and then all day Saturday. And girls, why don't you tell them your favorite part of the No Price Tag Conference? Which is your favorite part?
My favorite part has always been the wedding dress example and the paint. That's always something I refer back to. And I love.
We will be having a live bride this year. So if that's interesting to you, it's a very good example and illustration of purity. Zoe, what's your favorite part of the conference?
I think I might have to agree with Zadie. Like the illustrations, those are really great. And the breakout sessions are really great, especially this year. We're going to have some really awesome breakout sessions. It's going to be so hard to decide. So those are always fun as well.
Yes. Gabrielle, what's your favorite part?
My favorite part was also the bride when I thought of that, but I was going to say that before Zadie said it. And then also I enjoyed last year when we had Jessica come. I always enjoy when she speaks.
Yeah.
Good. No pressure on the bride. And you can, if you go into our Facebook page, you can see that my girls got a hold of the dress. They were trying it on, but you might as well try on dresses while you can. And then you guys will know what kind of dresses you can have.
Absolutely.
One day.
I've
Yeah.
seen your website right now is pulled up.
Okay, the website is nopricetagconference.com. If you want to go on there, you can see pictures of the past events. You can get an idea of what the schedule is, and you can see all the information. You can also register right on our website, nopricetagconference.com. Then on Facebook, you do see No Price Tag Conference. You just put that in the little search, and then you can see all the stuff. We're putting a lot of our partners for this year on there. We are getting some great partners. Well, let's go back to the conference. Friday night, Halo Salon will be there. Following the service, Halo Salon comes. Everybody can get their nails done, get their hair done. They're going to curl your hair. They braid your hair. It's really cool, right? That part. And then this year we're adding chalk. You guys know what hair chalk is?
Yeah.
So that you can just basically paint it on your hair. So you can get that, and you can get temporary tattoos just for fun. So that's Friday night following the service. Then Saturday you come back in, like Zoe said, you have a service. Then you have the breakouts. Let me talk about the breakouts. So Life Choices, which is a pregnancy care center, they are going to be here talking about abortion from a Christian point of view. In other words, if you know anyone that's a woman in your life, at some point, someone's going to either have had an abortion or be thinking about abortion. And as a Christian woman, we don't need to be like, oh, you had an abortion, and act shocked. But our goal is to be loving and to be kind to her and to know that God does forgive and that God is not shaming her, but God wants to love her in the process of that. And then if we have a friend, have you ever met anybody that's, maybe thinking about abortion?
Absolutely, yeah.
Or you have girls who are pregnant and they don't really know what to do. We want to know as Christian girls how to guide them and what to say to them in a professional environment. So they will be there. Another girl will be doing a session that has been molested since she was 3 years old. And another woman who had an abortion that now has a ministry that ministers to women. And so we just have a variety of things that we're going to be talking about. And of course, the question and answer session. So why don't you guys talk about the question and answer session? Because I think that's always a real fun part of the conference as well.
It's a lot of fun. So in the question and answer session, I keep wanting to say section, we'll have a panel of different youth pastors or some of the speakers, and then you will be able to anonymously send in your questions, and then they will answer them. So you can ask any question. We get some pretty crazy questions, sometimes some funny questions, but this panel of people will answer that question. So that's definitely a fun time.
Yeah, and sometimes it's about taboo topics as well, something that we can't talk about that with their moms or their parents usually. So sending those anonymous questions, I think, helps them be able to feel at liberty to, ask the questions and not feel ashamed, I don't know this, but I want to know the right thing. And also you're sending these questions to a panel of women who have gone through their youth and know what they're talking about. So it's really reassuring for them to speak to those girls.
That's good. Yes. That's good. Okay, and then I want Gabrielle down there to talk to us. Hello, Gabrielle. I feel like she's way down there. Let's talk about the fashion show. So we have a fashion show on Saturday afternoon. Tell us about the fashion show. Who's going to be there? What's your favorite part about the fashion show?
So we're going to have the two boutiques. We're going to have... I actually don't know the two names. What's the name? The one is Salome
and Much Ado.
And they're going to be doing their clothes, and so we show the girls having a fashion show, how to be modest, how to dress modestly, but still look cute at the same time. So we have lots of cute clothes we're going to be showing them, and I'm going to be a model. Zoe's going to be a model. A lot of girls from our youth group are going to be modeling the clothes, and it's really fun.
Yeah. Yes, so between the spa night and the fashion show and the Q&A, and then what about all the sugar?
Yes, that's the best part as well. I forgot about that.
During the spa night, there's going to be kind of like a candy buffet kind of thing. I'm sure we'll have cupcakes and
candy
popcorn and candy, and it'll be fun. You're not going to want to miss out.
And everything is free. Yay. That's the best part of all. So people that believe in young ladies and young men have paid for this conference, and so it's completely free. And we do want to mention that moms, you are welcome to come with your girls, okay? Maybe they don't want you necessarily to come, but it's a good thing to be there with your girls. It gives you a way to talk to them further about these topics. It kind of gives moms a safe way to talk to their girls, because sometimes these moms don't want to talk about these issues, but you will have the opportunity at a conference like this. And I wanted to mention one other speaker that we're having this year. Her name is Tammy Simmons, and she's from South Carolina, and she has a ministry where she writes to prisoners. Okay, so she has all these prisoners are usually young people that she really has a heart for, and what she's finding out is a lot of these prisoners, their problems began with their phone or with online gaming, because we don't realize that these, she calls it devil in a box, that online gaming opens you up to having inappropriate relationships online. And so we don't think about that. But she said, and I didn't even realize this, there are people now in jail that never did anything personally or physically to someone, but they're in jail for the rest of their life because of the conversations that they had on an online gaming app.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
So it's
absolutely.
So going both ways. So the predators are on those online gaming apps, and then you precious girls are on there just playing the game. Oh, it's just a little game. But they don't see it that way. They don't see it as a game. They see it as an opportunity to prey on young ladies. So we're going to talk about internet safety as well. And I wanted to give Gabrielle an opportunity. Gabrielle just did a speech, a persuasive speech for her college class, and it was really, really good, the content that she had. And her and I are going to do a whole nother podcast on this because it was so important. But we're going to have her share for a moment about the dangers of online apps and
social media.
Yeah. So give us a recap, Gabrielle, what you learned in your speech and kind of how we're going to approach this at the No Price Tag Conference.
Well, I deleted pretty much all of my social media at the beginning of this year because I was so sick of everyone just talking about the coronavirus, and it was just really annoying and like wasn't really a point. And I always felt like every time I was like on social media, it was just like I was comparing myself to everybody else, and people were judging me or whatever. So anyway, I had previously also researched into like social media. So basically in my speech, I researched 3 different social medias. And the first one that I researched was, I think the first one was Instagram. And Instagram is actually the #1 app for child predators because it's so
pedophiles. Yeah,
it's so easy to sign up for it. There's nothing. You just type in your email and your name, and you're allowed to have an Instagram. And obviously, a lot of people in their bio, they put their age, they put their where they go to school, they put what grade they're in, all that kind of personal information, and anything that's in your bio, everyone on the internet can see. And it's easy to slide into someone's DMs and just start messaging them. And Instagram has a lot of other dangers too. And then Snapchat, there's a few different things that are a little dangerous, like for example the Snap Maps, which allows like people to see your location. And then the Discover, which shows you a lot of different videos, but if you're just a kid and you start watching those videos, some of them have a lot of inappropriate content, and almost borderline like pornography.
Yes.
And then TikTok, which has been known for people to like kind of have been using people who are 13 and under have been like stealing their information, and then also sometimes will like kind of put you in a category and give you those kind of, and do like put their political agenda on you if you're not careful, if you don't know. And there's other dangers too, but especially for young children and early teenagers, there's a lot of dangers.
Young girls especially.
Yeah.
And I was
if
just
you don't know.
coincidentally, like I was talking about this to one of my friends, and she is a mother of a little baby girl, but she was just like, when is the right time to give like my daughter a phone, like when she grows up, and so it's like something that is just pressured on kids today, like if you don't have a phone, you're not cool, or you like don't fit in. But I think there's a lot of dangers that come with having like social media as well. And I mean, from my own personal experience, like I have my profile on private, which is just like a safety measure. But even then, like sometimes I'll get old men going into my private messages. I mean, not private messages, like messaging me, and then and I like can either accept or decline their messages. But there's always like, hey, like I can be like your sugar daddy or whatnot. And I'm just, it's such a like an open space for them to come in and attack those girls. And I'm like, thank goodness I have my profile on private. But imagine the girls that don't have their profiles on private, like just public for everyone to see. And so it's like a huge issue. And I always like report them like it's inappropriate. But there's also girls who like want that attention or don't have that, like they don't know the dangers of that, and they'll just be like, okay, let's do it, And the Snapchat, I know that it's known for like sexting as well, and it's just like no repercussions because you can send a snap and then it can go away, but the damage is already done once you open it.
Snapchat said, like themselves said that 25% of users are sexting.
Yes.
And even more than that. That's just 25% that are like just doing like the bottom line, and obviously there's a lot more work.
Yeah, and it's kind of scary that they know that. Like,
Yeah.
how do they know those pictures are of that type of stuff? So
Because they archive it, right?
Yep.
To you, that picture goes away, but they've got that picture forever in their archives.
Yeah.
So Zoe, talk to us how do you stay safe online, or what parameters have you set around your social media?
I keep things on private. I only let people follow me that I actually know in person. Like, even if internet friends, you don't really know who they are if you've never actually met them in person. And even if you have met them in person, like, you shouldn't be letting them, if you don't know them very well. So I only let, especially, I used to have Instagram, but I also deleted that. But when I had Instagram, I only let my really close friends follow me. I only let people that I actually know and can trust to see my information. So, yeah,
one of the
really
things
careful.
that I was sharing with Gabrielle, I believe, is that, the intention of the app sounds really good. Like, I'm going to just message my friends that I know, hey, we're going to stay in contact, we're going to stay in touch. And that's fine. Like, the original intent of the app is good. But everything that's good, the devil always turns it and makes it bad. And so then we have the bad side of every app. So you're just like, is that app safe? Well, it is. It was created to be safe. It was created to be a good thing, but there's always the evil side of all those things. Like I said, even on Facebook, that's the generation that I'm in where we use Facebook. And yeah, I get all these, like, not all these, but, guys will ask to be your friend, and you go and you look at them, you're like, okay, you don't have any friends. So you're not real. You're just a fake person or whatever. And you have to learn how to be, wise and that. But I think for teenagers, since you're so prone to fall into those traps, like, no, he was honestly nice to me. He honestly loved me. And you're like, he loved you. What are you talking about? You don't even know him, And so I think as moms, we have to be wise, and we have to help to protect our children, because you guys don't want the mess of those apps. Like, nobody goes out and purposely seeks that, but that side of the apps are there. And that's why as parents, and especially as mothers, it's good to be keen on this and be paying attention and be like, okay, you know what? Those things are out there lurking around the corner waiting to attack you. So we're going to talk about that, and it's going to be really great to hear from Tammy. She's going to do a breakout session for the moms, just for the moms, where they can talk about, how to be safe. Because I think one of the other things that we hear a lot is, well, I don't want to invade my daughter's privacy. You should just, it's like, no, you need to be invading her privacy. It's your job to protect her. It's your job to guide her along the way. And I always think of it like when you teach your kid to drive, like, you don't tell them, you can just pick the left lane or the right lane. Either lane, if someone's coming at you in that left lane, you just get over. Don't worry about it. You can just pick any lane. You don't tell your kid that. You're like, you drive in the right lane, in America anyway. Yes. You drive in the right lane. And that's because those guys coming at you on the other side are dangerous and bad. And everybody knows that, right? You just, from the second you're teaching your kid to drive, you tell them you got to stay in that right lane. Yeah. Right? Okay. We don't say, it's, if you feel like going the left lane, it's okay, just get out of the way. But that's what we do with apps and the social media, right? We're like, just get out there and just see what you're doing, and you're just like, no, it's our job to keep them in that right lane and remind them, nope, stay in that right lane. That left lane's going to get you in trouble. And so it's our job to guide them and not just say, good luck out there.
Absolutely.
We don't do that with driving, right? I mean, I spent many hours cringing in the passenger seat teaching these girls to drive. And I heard your first time driving, your mother was like in the back seat
she was hysterical. She was just like, go. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Many mistakes were made. But of course, like, I think that there's not a really physical danger that you can see with the social media. And like you're saying, like, you can direct your kids. When you're driving, you can see the dangers, but there's equally, or even if not more, dangers with social media that you can't see with the naked eye, but that are really real and like can attack you emotionally and physically as well if it develops into that stage. So most definitely.
I think emotionally, that's another thing about social media is the emotions that come with it, because you see someone who like looks great and you're like, oh, I wish I could be as good as them, but that's not what they're really like in real life. And then you have this superficial relationship. You don't know what that person's like in real life, and yet you're beating yourself up because you're not as good as this person. You don't know anything about them. They could be a terrible person, but you're looking up to this person and wishing you were like them, but you don't know them. You know, you have to be really careful on social media. Like, even sometimes, you know, we'll take picture, we're like, we look really great in this picture. In real life, we're like, I did not look that good that day. Like,
That's
how
a
did
good
that
angle.
picture turn out so good? Like, I got the sun coming here, the
Good
angle's
lighting.
perfect. And then in real life, if someone saw me, they'd be like, well, you did not look like that the other day. You know, and you have to be honest with yourself and be like, you know, we're all just people. People are just people, and no matter how good you think they look, at the end of the day, we're all just a mess.
And I like the saying that says you're comparing your insides to their outsides.
Right.
So they cleaned up their outside for that picture, but your insides were like, oh, I don't feel like that. So let's talk 1 minute here about what no price tag means, and I want you girls to share your own kind of heart on this. So no price tag means like when you like buy a purse, right? The first thing you do is you take that tag off there because it's your purse now. There's no price tag on it anymore. And our shirts, if you can see our shirts and all of our logos, are 1 Corinthians 6:20. I am bought with a price, therefore honor God with my body. You are bought with the price, therefore honor God with your body. So Jesus paid the price for you. Jesus paid the price for you. And he took that price tag off of you and he said, you now belong to me. And I think above and beyond all the issues that we talk about at No Price Tag, and there are very many issues and they're so important, but the number one issue is that you belong to Jesus.
Amen.
And I think when you have that foundation, then all these other issues are not so hard, right? When you don't have that foundation, then you're just like, what? I can't be accepted by the world? What? People don't like me from my outside, but when God has your heart, it's a whole lot easier to say, you know what? I don't want to do those things. Like we talk about the bride. When the bride comes, she's going to show, you know, what it's like to, you know, to be touched all over the place. But when you're God's girl and you're like, belong to him, you're like, well, I don't want anybody touching me. You know, it's just not, I don't want anybody doing that because that's not appropriate. I'm God's girl. And until I get married, I belong to God alone and not to any man. And so I want you to talk to you girls to talk about that, the whole point of your heart and how that's a lot easier to not do all these things and how your heart is what really matters in all these issues that we talk about. So I don't know if you want to share your testimony a little bit, or maybe sometime in your life that you've, you know, had an issue come up, but your heart belonging to Jesus helped you to keep living for him.
Yeah. So I grew up in public school and going to a public high school, and now I go to a university that's like very liberal, like, you know, in their ideals and what they stand for. But yeah, like going to No Price Tag, the conferences when I was very young, I think it influenced me to stay away from those things. I know that like sometimes I would struggle because all my friends were doing it. They started having, you know, sexual relations with a ton of guys in high school. And it's kind of easy for them to say, well, I mean, it's like nothing. It's just, you know, sex. It's just sex. And like, why don't you do it? Just do it. Like, it's the easiest thing. And I even read like one post where it was like, virginity isn't real. It's just a way to oppress women, and you know, just all these ideals. And you're faced with that on a daily basis when you go to public high school, when you go to like a liberal college, which I am now. But I think that thinking about those things, like you're just like, well, sometimes like if I wouldn't have gone to No Price Tag conferences, I would probably been like, well, yeah, like what's like why is it so wrong, right? But learning those things early on. And it's like never too late to learn that, you know, like to learn that it's your God's and that he bought you with a price. He died on the cross for you. And now because he did that, you belong to him and he just wants to give you your his love, right? And I think that being in this public, you know, public school and just seeing everyone do it and not like everyone surrounding me wasn't raised in a Christian family or in a Christian home, and it's very hard for them to understand like my viewpoint as well. So both ways it goes, and I think that being at the conferences have really like refrained me to go further than you know, like than I know that is wrong. You know, like dating. It's okay, like, if you respect one another, and now you understand that now. And I always would go back. That's why the bride with the paint is my favorite example, because whenever I felt inclined, I always, like, remember that. And now it's like something that I just go back and it was like years ago that I saw that first example, but just the impact that it has been so big on my life that I always go back to it and I say, what is wrong with me? What am I doing? Go back and take a step back and analyze it through the lens of like, yes, this is the example and it was fun and all, but it really has an impact on your life and it goes more than just a dress and paint. It has a message, right? That I've implied in myself and that I like continue and I choose like from every day, renew my like choice that yes, I'm going to follow Jesus and his will and I'm going to also follow that example of the wedding dress. I'm not going to let anyone disrespect me or, disrespect anyone else as well. So the peer pressure is real. And when you're in that circumstance where it's like very real, you're like, oh, because you think about like, I would not ever do that. But when you're in the situation, you're like, well, what do I choose? Like, what do I do? And it really, you are presented with two choices. You either go with God's will and respect yourself, and go back to that example of the wedding dress, or you choose to go further with that person. So I know that from personal experience, it's been like a choice, right? Every time I'm confronted with that, what do I choose? And No Price Tag, the conferences have helped me to choose this way, right? To choose the way that I want to be pure for my husband when I meet the right person. And so now I continually to, I continue to choose that every single day because it really is a struggle.
And think of the respect that he's going to have for you.
Absolutely.
Like we talk about at the conference, when you say, I have saved this for you. This gift is so precious to me. I've saved it for you.
Yeah.
And he's like, whoa, you respected me so much. Instead of like, here's your gift. It's open. It's destroyed. It's trampled on. It's broken. But hey, you were worth it. Yeah. Like we say, how much more he's like, whoa. You're going to get a guy who has that much integrity in his own life, right? In his own character in his life. Like, whoa, this girl's a girl that I want because she's upholding the godly principles.
Yeah. And it's a continuous process for sure. It never ends. So knowing this, coming to these conferences has helped me in that way.
That's good.
In a public area, like public schools, and really set my foundation stronger.
That's good.
Than I would have if I wouldn't have gone.
Yeah, good. Okay, Zoe.
Okay, so starting with like going back to the price tag example, once you buy something and you take that price tag off, like now you determine the value of that. Now you determine how valuable it is. And so when you're God's child, he tells you how valuable you are. No one else has the right to tell you how valuable you are because you don't belong to them. You don't belong to them. You belong to God, and he tells you how valuable you are, and he tells you you're priceless, that he loves you, that you have so much value within you. And when you understand that value, then you don't want to go very far, like in relationships. You don't want to go too far with touching and all that, because you respect yourself. And I think another thing, going to a second point now, is like when it comes to guys, you have to, when you have your standards, what you want to do, you know your plan, and in the moment it's going to get really hard. So you need to stick to it. For like an example, like if you say, I don't want to date until I'm this age, but if this guy wants to date me, then it's fine. It's like, no, you'll be like, I'm not dating until I'm this age, or I'm at this maturity level, and I'm not gonna make an exception. No guy can be that exception, because it just starts with the one exception, then just another exception. Like, you need to hold firm to your plan and not let all these exceptions come in. So
yeah,
that's what I have to say there.
Gabrielle.
I think No Price Tag really helps you like learn your worth and the value that you have, because just through all the different examples and illustrations and everything, you learn that you are valuable and that you are worth something. And then also that I think with going along with talking about how far you're going to go, like with people, you can realize that like a lot of times I think girls are like, they're like, I'm gonna like this guy, he's gonna be this tall, he's gonna have this color hair, he's never gonna have kissed anyone before, he's gonna be a Christian, he's always gonna lift his hand in worship, he's gonna be a pastor, he's gonna work, he's gonna be able to clean the house, he's gonna be able to do the dishes, cook the food, he's gonna like do everything, and you're like, I think one thing Zoe and I talk about is like, it has to be, if you're gonna ask for someone to, if you're gonna ask someone to wait for you, then you're gonna have to wait for them. If you're gonna ask someone to like serve you, you're gonna have to be able to serve them. Right. If you're gonna, you have to. There was like someone said one time that like you and the person that you like end up dating or marrying is like almost like equal to you in some sense, because you have the same like standards and everything. And so if you're gonna have really high standards for someone, then you have to have those same things for yourself. You can't be like he's gonna have to read his Bible for an hour a day and pray for an hour a day and worship and whatever, and if you're not doing that yourself, and you can't ask him to like wait for you if you're not waiting for him,
because that wouldn't be fair. You have to hold, so whatever kind of person that you want to marry, that's the kind of person you need to become.
Exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And sorry, one other thing that I was exposed to in the conferences was your book, God's Girl. Mm-hmm. And I read it years ago when I was 12 or something. But just going back to like what you lived through, like I can see now like, the stuff that you wrote in your book. And I'm like applying it to now my life as a young adult, because back then, I was like, oh, it didn't really make sense. I'm like, whatever, like reading it, like, yeah, that's a good book. But now I'm like, oh, I can understand, like, and apply it to my life years later, 8 years later. And I'm like, yes, now I know why, like.
We should put a plug in for the book, God's Girl by Rachel Johnson.
Yes.
You can find it probably on Amazon.
Yeah.
Or contact me.
And that's what I got from the conference as well. I mean, if I wouldn't have gone to the first conference, I wouldn't have probably read your book or gotten your book and read it and now apply it to my life truly in my everyday life. So
that's
there's
good.
that too.
Well, that's really encouraging, girls. And I'll just say this, we had, I think in the book we gave the illustration of these men, say they're boys, teenagers, they're like sleeping around with all these girls, and they were asking, they're like, oh, so which one of these are you going to marry? They're like, we're not marrying those girls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You're not going to marry girls like this, but they're sleeping around with all these other girls. So like they were saying, like you girls are saying, you need to save yourself then, because if you expect him to do that, then you need to do that as well.
There's so many like articles and videos you can look up about how guys, they talk about that. They're like, oh, well, yeah, the one that I'm waiting for, that we're not going to do anything until marriage, she's going to be really, really special. But like, oh, right now I'm just going on this dates. Oh, no, I'm just doing this for fun right now, like with you, or they talk about like, oh, like I want to, they're talking about the difference between when they wait for someone and they do when they're married. They're saying, I really love you, but when we're doing it before marriage, it's just like, oh, it's just, I don't really love you. I just, just for fun.
Yeah, I actually saw this YouTube video, and this girl was going around on a college campus asking guys, like, if a girl wanted to wait till marriage, would you wait for her? And a lot of the guys were like, oh, no, I wouldn't do that. Like, I can't do that. And then one guy's like, she would have to be really special. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, wow.
You have to have the qualities that a guy's like, okay, I'm going to wait for her.
Yeah.
She's worth it. She's got quality. She has character. And I'm going to wait for that. Yeah. And that's the kind of guy you want.
All the guys who said that they would not wait, we're all like, they're like, they're like, nah, bro, I'm not gonna do that. And then like, and all the guys who said yes, they were very like, well mannered. They were very, you could tell they're like, they cared about it.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're gonna wrap this up here. I'm gonna show you this poster if you're watching on Facebook. So our poster. This is I don't know which camera we're on here. We got lots of cameras going on, but this is our poster. The guys' night, again, is August 6th at 7 o'clock at Grace Point Assembly of God. We have Greg Krawick and Jared Alverson will be speaking. We're actually going to be doing a podcast with them in a few minutes as well. And then we have Rachel Johnson and Robin Plotty speaking.
Who's that?
Amazing
Rachel
speakers.
Johnson, I don't know her.
That is August 7th and 8th at Grace Point Assembly of God in Carthage, Missouri. And our website, again, is nopricetagconference.com. You can go on there and see pictures from past events, so you can kind of get a feel for what it's like. You can also see the schedule on there. You can see the speakers in their bios. You can just learn about, I think I did a little blog on there about the history of No Price Tag. But this is all about teenagers. That's what this is all about. I love these teenage girls. I want to see them serve the Lord, and I want them to know that, like Zadie's saying, they don't have to do all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. The world tells you got to do that. Everybody's doing it. But the reality is, if Zadie were to talk to her friends and know their hearts, be like, oh yeah, my heart's been broken. I've been broken. Because that's not the way that God intended it. And the way that God intends things is good. And he knows that you're going to get hurt if you're doing out what the world says. The world says you got to do all this stuff. If you don't do it, you're not normal. But you know what? God says, hey, I got a better plan and a better way. And your heart's not been broken, right? So we want to encourage you to check out our website, nopricetagconference.com. We encourage you to come to the conference. It is free. We're excited about having it here in Carthage, Missouri. And I want to thank you, ladies. Thank you, Gabrielle. Thank you, Zoe. Thank you, Zadie. Zadie Johnson, her new last name, for being with us today. God bless you guys, and we will talk to you next time on Purity Talks. God bless you.